All right, so the quiz 5 review, okay? We're going to do a couple different types of topics, okay? The first topic is writing the slope-intercept form of the line. Now remember, slope-intercept form of the line, anytime you see that, they're basically just asking you, can you solve for y? Okay? That's basically what they're saying. Solve it for y. Okay? So we have question number 1 right there. 2x plus y equals to negative 4. If I want to get y all by itself, I'm going to subtract 2x. Okay, I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. So minus 2x minus 2x, y equals 2. Now let me show you the common mistake here. A lot of people do this when they're not sure what they're doing. This is wrong. Okay? You cannot subtract negative 4 and a negative 2x, right? One has a variable, one does not. So just write them in the correct order, negative 2x minus 4. If you're wondering what do you mean by correct order, remember the formula is y equals to mx plus b. Where the x term is in the middle, the number is towards the right side. So you got to get it in that form right there. Okay, y equals to mx plus b. And that's it. That's all you have to do for that one. We're going to do one more example like this right now, and then we'll move on to something else. But like I said, we have 8 examples. They don't take very long to do. Okay? So here's the next one. A little bit tougher. We still want to solve for y. So 5x minus 2y equals to 10. Let's move the 5x first, right? Let's get this 5x out of the way. Whoops, let me change this back to red here. So minus 5x on both sides. So this will give me negative 2y equal to negative 5x plus 10. Remember, you cannot do 10 minus 5x, right? That does not become 5x. One has a variable, one does not. So we got negative 2y equal to negative 5x plus 10. If we got to get y by itself, another mistake people do is they add 2. Okay? Because they see minus 2, but that's wrong, right? Negative 2 with a letter next to it means that it's multiplying. It's negative 2 times y, right? So we're going to want to divide by negative 2, okay? Divide everything by negative 2. Every term. So this becomes y equal to 5 over 2x, because remember a negative over a negative is a positive. And then 10 divided by negative 2 is a negative 5, and you're done. All right, you have 2 questions on your quiz like this, and they look like this. The first one is going to be like the one we just did, where there's nothing next to the y. You can see this one that has nothing next to the y. And then the second one will look like this, where there's something next to the y. So you're just going to have to divide it out eventually. Okay? So first 2 questions look like that.
3?
Sorry? I think it's just 2. I'll double check, but I think it's just 2. Now the next one, I'm going to draw both of these on the same graph. So I'm going to use a red line for number 3. I'm going to use a green line for number 4. Okay? That way we don't spend time drawing 2 graphs. And if I'm right, I think you have 2 problems like this as well. And if I'm correct, there should be one that's positive and one that's negative slope. Okay? So the idea is this. You're going to be using slope-intercept form. Actually, let me write this in blue here. That way it doesn't match up. You're using this idea. Y equals mx plus b. Where you begin here and then you move. Okay? You begin at a certain number on the y-axis and then you move. So according to number 3, where do I begin? Where should I start?
2.
At 2 on the y-axis. I'm going to put a dot right there. Okay? And then it wants me to move negative 2/3. Well, negative means down. So I got to go down twice and then 3 over. Okay, so from this red dot, down twice, 3 over. It's right here. Okay? So that's down twice, 3 over. Connect the dots. and you're done. This should not take you a long time. It's just basically counting. Now let's look at the green one, right? Y equals to 1/3 x minus 1. Where do I begin on that one? -1. And it just so happens that this is going to, well, I have a positive slope. I got to go up once, 3 over. So up once, 3 over. It actually leaves me right here. So I'm going to kind of circle it, okay? Right on top of the other dot. Okay? So now when I connect, it'll go there. Okay? So those are your two graphs on the, well, your two lines on the same graph. Any questions on that? All right, so moving on. Now, this next thing right here, I don't give you examples on this, but notice what I said. Make sure you can combine the previous examples into one problem. What does that mean? That means that if I give you a problem like this, you'll be able to write it like this, and then you can use this equation to put it on a graph. You'll start at -5, and then you move up 5 to over, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, make sure you can do examples 1 and 2, right? And change them into y equals, right? Something like this, and then that you can graph it. So as long as you can do this stuff here, right? And then transfer it over to a graph, you should be okay, because they're going to give you some problems like that where they're going to say, all right, the problem looks like 2x plus y equals 10, graph it. So you're going to have to solve for y and then graph it. All right, so make sure you can do 1 through 4, because if you can do that, you should be able to combine them together. Okay, so if you want to look up what I mean, just look at your homework from section 2. I forgot which one it was. I'll find out for you. But in your homework for one of them, it has it. 2.3? Okay, thank you. So in 2.3, that's where they give you like something in normal equation. You got to write it in terms of y and then graph it. Okay, so please make sure you guys look over that. Now the rest of these all have to do with this instruction. Write the slope intercept form given. So y equals mx plus b given certain information. Now number 5 is like really, really simple. They give you everything you need for it. Okay? Remember, I'm going to put y equals mx plus b. That's my goal. And notice they gave me m. That's 2. And they gave me b. That's 5. So just plug it in and you're done. Okay? So y equals 2x plus 5. And that's it. You're done. Nothing else needed. And too bad they're not all like that, but, you know, there'll be some. All right, so that's the first type. So you're going to write it in slope intercept form. If I give you the slope and the intercept, that should be really quick. Then they give you the slope and a point. Okay, so this is the one where you're supposed to get all your information and plug it into a formula and then rewrite it in y equals mx plus b. Okay. Oh. Well, I'm just putting this up for some. Give me a second. Oh, the problem? Yes, slope intercept is 2, y-intercept is 5. Remember, guys, this will be sent to you guys today. So in case you didn't get a problem, if you showed up late and you missed the first 4, the notes will be provided. The video will have it. All that stuff will be there for you guys. So you can always catch up like that. Okay. So, all right. So this is going through to 0, slope of 4. So, remember, this is my goal. Y equals mx plus b. I do know what my slope is. M is 4. So y equals 4x plus b. I also know that they gave me a point which resembles x and y. So I'm going to plug in my x and y into that equation as well, so I can find my y-intercept. So x is 2, y is 0. So 0 equals, 4 times 2 plus b. 4 times 2 is 8 plus b. Now move your 8 over, so let's subtract it. So negative 8 is equal to b. Well, now that I know that my slope is 4, that's m, and that b is negative 8, I can put that into my formula, right? So I'll kind of change colors here just to see a difference. Remember, my slope is 4. I'm going to kind of highlight it here. Slope is 4. Intercept is negative 8. So let's write that out. Y equals 4x minus 8. And you're done. These problems aren't necessarily difficult. You just got to remember how to attack them, right? You got to know, like, okay, this is what they gave me, so this is how I use it, right? But it's not like we're going crazy solving for new equations and graphing and stuff like that. We're not doing that. We're just taking a basic equation, filling in what we know, and finding stuff we need to figure out, right? The b value. It's always trying to find b. So there's number 6. We got 2 more of these. Okay, and then if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Now this is the one that I would tell you is the toughest type of problem, because this one, they don't give me a slope, they don't give me the y-intercept, they don't give me anything other than 2 points. But if you're given 2 points, you can always find slope, okay? If you're given 2 points, you can always find your slope. So, here you go. Slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And I'm going to go ahead and label my points here. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so slope is y2, that's 3 minus y1 is 0 over x2 is 2 minus x1 is 1. So that's going to be 3 over 1, or just 3. Okay, don't forget, guys, make sure you silence your phones. Don't worry about it. It's not bothering me that much, but for next time. So my slope is 3, so I'm good. Now that I know my slope is 3, I'm going to kind of do what I just did in example 6. I'm going to start with my equation. I'm going to fill in my slope. And then I get to pick which x comma y I want to use from a certain point, either the first point or the second point. Which one do you want me to use? What do you think would be the easiest one to plug in, first or second? First. The first one. The first one has a 0, right? So let's go with that. So y is 0, x is 1. So 0 equals 3 plus b. So that came out pretty easy. So we're just going to subtract 3 from both sides. So negative 3 is equal to b. I'm going to highlight this because this is important for me. There's my b value. There's my m value. So again, I'm changing colors. Remember, if you're at home wondering why the heck did I go green, blue, red, all this stuff, it's like, in other words, saying here's this part of the problem that I had to do, and then there's this other part of the problem that I had to do, and then there was a third part, right? Because this is, like I said, the toughest type of problem for this test, because it requires a lot of work. But we're done right now. This next step we're going to finish. M is 3, B is negative 3, and we're done. So the colors are just so that you can kind of see how I kind of itemized it, right? For the first one, we're going to find slope. For the next one, we found our y-intercept. For the next one, we plugged it in. Okay? Are there faster ways to do this? There are, but you guys need to know more formulas. And sometimes it's not best to give you a lot of formulas. Sometimes better just let you be good with two, right? Y equals mx plus b, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The other formula is y2, well, I guess you could say y minus y1 equals to m times x2 minus, or x1 minus x, but, or x minus x1, sorry, I made that go backwards. But that's called the point slope formula. It's useful, but again, just more stuff to have to know. So, are we okay with this one? Like I said, this is probably going to be the toughest one. I think there's only one of them, okay? But it's going to be the toughest one from the quiz because it requires the most work, okay, as you can see, all right? But is it hard work? You're adding and subtracting numbers. I mean, it's not terrible, but you do have to know the process. So practice the process, okay? Here's the last one for you guys. This has to do with yesterday's lesson with parallel lines. Now, the reason why I was okay with you guys watching a video and learning this yesterday was because it was parallel lines, not perpendicular. Perpendicular can be a little more complicated. Parallel, the thing about parallel lines is parallel lines have the same what? Slope, right? Yesterday, that's what we talked about, or I guess the video that I gave you talked about. They have to have the same slope, okay? Now here I'm asking you to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b. But the thing about this line is it has to be parallel to this line that I'm showing you. Well, what's the slope of this line right here? 2. That means that my slope has to also be 2. Okay? The slope for this brand new line has to be 2 as well because they have to be parallel. And if they're going to be parallel, they have to have the same slope. Okay? So since the slope on the given line is 2, the slope on the new line will also be 2. All right. Let's plug that in. Y equals 2x plus b. Well, now I got to figure out b. How do I do that?
Fill in the 1 and the 4.
All right, fill in the 1 and the negative 4, just like what we've been doing in the previous problems, right? All these problems are the same. They just start off differently, right? So I know that 1 is x, y is negative 4. So negative 4 equals to 2 times 1 plus b. Let's just solve. Negative 4 equals to 2 plus b. We'll subtract 2. So negative 6 is equal to b. So now I know that my slope is 2, my y-intercept is negative 6, and I can write my final answer for this, right? So y equals mx plus b. I know that m is 2 and b is negative 6. And that's the answer to that problem. Okay? So this is what's on your quiz for tomorrow.